Hi everyone, and thanks for joining the 5 winning SEO tactics you can apply right now. I'm Luke Tobin. I'm the commercial director here at Digital Ethos, and I've been working in SEO for about 12 years now, along with lots of other facets of digital marketing and agency life. So I really wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for joining and take you through some quick wins that I think you can apply to start seeing some results pretty quickly. Just to talk a little bit about Digital Ethos and show you that we know what we're talking about, I guess, more than anything. Company's been trading for 5 years. We've grown exponentially, sort of 200-300% year-on-year growth. We're now up to 20 staff, and we focus really on performance marketing, as we call it, which is SEO, pay-per-click, and social media. We do have a small web development team as well, but that really supports the efforts of the marketing team that we have here. And we've won various awards and I think had the scale that we have based on the fact that we're really transparent with customers and we build long-term relationships, really helping our customers expand and grow and generate sales and inquiries is at the heart of what we do. And because of that, our retention rate still today is above 90%, which is pretty strong. So a little bit about the webinar. We're going to try and keep it to 15-ish minutes. I know everybody's busy, so keeps it short and sweet. If everybody can just try and keep their microphone turned off throughout, that'd be fantastic. And if there are any questions, on the top right-hand side of the screen, you should see a little message icon. If you click that and just write a question in there for me, I'll answer it towards the end of the session. We'll also follow up with a blog, which gives a bit of an overview and these slides as well as sending through some of the tools that we mentioned throughout the presentation, so you can download free versions or have access and have a look at them. So, moving into the first tactic, site speed. Now, I think as users of the internet, we probably all know how important it is to have site speed. I for one, if I hit a website and it takes too long to load, it really is frustrating, and I think all of us have experienced that at different times. I mean, gone are the days of modem dial-ups where you could wait 10 minutes just to get on the internet. Now we think we want things instantly, and it's human nature as things evolve to want it faster and faster. The statistic is actually that if you hit a website and you don't see what you want within the first 5 to 10 seconds, then you'll drop off, and actually bounce rates over that period become really, really high, 80% plus. So you really want to make sure that when a user hits your site, they feel like they can trust you, and speed is a big part of that. It also helps increase their engagement, their first visibility to your brand. If they haven't come across you before and they obviously then hit the site and it's slow, that's going to cause some issues. So having a fast site will really showcase that you mean business, make the experience easier, and obviously strengthen your reputation. So a few quick ways to improve speed. There's, depending on the CMS that you use, so if you're WordPress or Joomla or Shopify for e-commerce or whatever it might be, within the extension or app stores for each of those, there are opportunities to add various plugins which will help you to increase the performance and the speed of your site. So if you look in WordPress, for example, I use that as the benchmark. It's quite straightforward. They have their plugin store. If you go in there's plenty of off-the-shelf plugins to help you clear the site's cache, and this basically will reduce the file sizes within the website. Also, when you take on a website and it's out the box, or it's a theme approach, CMS theme, like a WordPress site, more often than not, it's full of plugins that you really don't need. Quite often they're stuffed with plugins that have been sold with that particular theme. So just go in, have a little look, see if there's any in there that aren't needed, and deactivate them or completely remove them. I mean, if you need support with that, it might be worth asking the person that built the site, or even come to us and we can have a little health check if you like. At the end of this session, we're going to give the opportunity for you to sign up for a free audit. Within that, if we have access to the site, we can look at these things for you anyway. The other thing from a user perspective and site speed is to think about decluttering the navigation. So this is actually something as a business that we're working on really hard ourselves at the moment, because we've got about 30 different services that we offer here overall, and combinations of services, and trying to bombard the user and the site experience with that in the navigation can be a bit overwhelming. So it's looking at how do you put your core services, your core focus points that you really want a user to engage with at the forefront, but obviously decluttering as you go. And obviously things like widgets, pop-ups, even live chat functions and things can all slow the site down. So really think about, do we get live chat interactions? Do we get people filling out this particular form, or is it there and it's sort of wasting space? And could we minify and reduce, I guess, speed from those areas? Other things that are worth looking at, and we've got some tools to recommend in a second, would be things like reducing file sizes of images, and you can do that again for a plugin. You can also look at any broken links, so are there 404 pages, are there redirects happening from pages that no longer exist? All of those things can really help to improve the performance. Google has a really cool off-the-shelf tool that you can just search on Google for. It's called PageSpeed, Google PageSpeed. If you click on it, it's part of their development tools. You can put your URL in, hit search, and basically it's going to show you what your average speed time is for loading of pages. You really want to try and obviously take some of their learning or some of their advice on there, and then obviously implement that throughout the site. So moving on to tactic 2. So this is probably one of my favorite ones to talk about today, actually. I mean, Google My Business is Google's way of localizing its search content, and it's more around sort of user intent. So about 4 or 5 years ago, they started prioritizing and favoring local search, because I guess it makes sense. Their mantra is, at the time of search, to provide the user with the most relevant information possible. Well, if you're searching in a location, chances are you want visibility for what's close to you. So Google My Business is a way of really sort of working with that. It increases your visibility within the search results as well, can help with local SEO, and really gives the user what they're looking for at that time. So it also allows things like posts. You can put events on there if you're going to events or you've got events coming up. You can put call to actions on there. And one of the things that I think everybody knows Google My Business for is the review section. So you can write reviews. And just in case there's any confusion about exactly where Google My Business comes in, as if you do a search on the search engine results page, you see at the top the ads. Below that you get the map section. Well, this is really feeding that map section. So when you click into the maps and you click on a business, this is the section that you can influence from there. And there's also a page as you click through that loads up so you can stand out. Now, on this next slide, we've explained how you can set up a Google My Business profile. I won't go into that step by step now, because I know obviously you haven't got time to do it today, but we will send you this after and it'll explain how to do it. There's also a couple of blogs here which explain about the benefit and really why you should be implementing this. But again, if you're a local service provider, this is going to be a game changer. Tactic 3, so create and write great meta descriptions. Now, when you do a search on Google and you get the search engine results listings, as they're called, or results page, on there you will see the search that you're looking for. So for example, we've used our own terms here. So if we look for SEO Birmingham, where we sit currently at number 1, we get the sort of result, but also this snippet of information, or this chance for us to fill out the space with useful information for a user. Now, there's ways of doing this well, and there's ways of doing it badly or not so well. What the user wants, of course, is something that describes the contents of the page they're about to enter and gives them a little snapshot of exactly what it is the page is going to tell them. If you have Google reviews or an opportunity to pull through those reviews so they show in this listing, it's really good as well. In essence, it's a directory listing, right? It's a directory that comes up in the search engine, and it's a chance for you to grab that user's intention for that search. So sort of best practice on this is to look for something that's below 155 characters. And just to explain why that is, if you look at the right hand side of the screen where you've got this result, you can see our listing at the top, and you can see that we neatly fit the words in. So Digital Ethos is a Birmingham-based search engine optimization agency, and that all fits. And at the end, it finishes with a call to action, schedule a free consultation. But if you look below at our competitors, you can see that actually the bottom line is quite messy. It doesn't finish for a user. If you were looking at these three, which one do you think you would pick? And I think it's pretty obvious that it would be this one at the top, because it has the star rating, it has this clear, concise structure to the way that it's been layered, and it's been made for the user not just to bombard and stuff it full of keywords. So hopefully you can see how that's beneficial now. There are various ways of going and finding this data, and we're going to send you again some tools to look at, but most CMSs, so WordPress or any of the off-the-shelf CMSs, will allow you a section in their page editor where you can influence what's pulled through to Google and the meta tags. Try your best to avoid duplicating those meta tags, so don't just copy and paste if you have similar services. It will start to confuse Google as well, because it does form part of the ranking factor. If you have a relevant title, relevant metas, and then the information on the page is relevant as well to the same search term, it all works hand in hand. So don't confuse Google and don't confuse your users by using the same. It can have a negative effect. So instead, write relevant and unique content. There's a really cool tool that you can get access to for free, which is called Screaming Frog. Do a search for it again, it will pop up. We'll also send you it. If you have a look at it, it does a strip out of all of your pages into an Excel file, and in there you can see which ones are missing titles, which ones are missing meta tags, and you can start to optimize on there and then put into your CMS. And again, part of the review that we'll do, if you want us to at the end of this, is to really look at this for you and give you some insights in where there's some sort of quick wins. Tactic 4, so this is meaningful URLs. So this works really hand in hand with what I was just saying about metas. If we think about, again, from a user point of view, if the URL that you're using, so if you see ours at the bottom here, this digital ethos / digital marketing trends 2019, if we had that all as almost one word, so we didn't put the spaces or the hyphens, it would be really hard for one, a user to use, and two, for Google to read. The thing to remember with Google all the time is it's a machine, and if you feed the machine the information in a concise and formatted way, it's going to have a much easier time of really sort of ranking and recognizing the elements that you want it to. So a bit like anything, index it exactly how you would want to see it from a user perspective as well, and make sure that it's easy on the eye and friendly for Google. We've put a few snippets here and a few ideas on how to write meaningful URLs, but in essence, keep it simple, keep it short, don't overcomplicate it. Tactic 5, so linking to other websites. So this is really interesting. There's been loads of research done on this over the years, and to be honest, we think it's pretty critical that if you're building a piece of content on your site, let's take a blog for example, and you want it to be engaging, you reference, like we have in this, other sources that might not be all of our own data. Credit that person for that research. So you can see here, founder of Copy Blogger Media, in a blog that we're writing about this, and when we follow up on this blog, you'll see best practice. We're going to put a link out to that exact page that talked about linking out to other blogs is critical for growth, because yes, whilst people are concerned that it's driving traffic away from your site, it's not necessarily a bad thing because it's building authority. What I would suggest, however, is if you are going to allow clickable links externally, to open a separate tab and not to keep on the same tab, so at least your page stays open, which will help with bounce rate, etc. And what this can do is this starts to build relationships with third parties. You can go to them and ask them whether they would be interested in doing a reciprocal link back to you. This builds a link exchange opportunity. Also, if you have influencers in your industry, I don't know, you might be in the fashion industry, and there's an influencer that you see quite regularly on Instagram, they have a website, credit them, mention them, and see whether they would do something similar for you. In essence, this forms a bit of a digital PR strategy, but we guess, it's hard to tell, but we guess that, backlinks and these link structures are still around 30-35% of the overall ranking factor in Google, so it's really worth considering and looking at as part of a strategy going forward, and this will help to build credibility and authority within Google. So that's the quick steps. Hopefully I've stayed within the allocated time. There's a couple of questions that have popped up throughout, and I think I mentioned that we were going to offer this free audit for anybody that's jumped on. So we're limiting the amount because obviously it's quite an investment for us, the sort of time that goes into these. And one of the questions actually on here, I noticed, the third one down from Sean, thanks for this, is what's included in the SEO audit. So I think I'll cover that first. Basically, the way that we work is that we will look at where you sit currently from a keyword perspective, do a full keyword audit, see what the opportunity is, see what the search metrics are, the trends, the opportunity, and then have a look at your top 3 to 5 competitors, see how they're competing in the search engine results, and then look at why they might be doing better, and create a bit of a blueprint, or I guess a benchmark of A to Z, how to get you from A to Z and to compete with them, if not to dominate and overtake. So it's a full strategy document, normally 20 to 25 pages, supported with keyword research and lots of really juicy data which can help you make the right decisions going forward. So yeah, hopefully that answers that, Sean. Oh, cool. Okay, one here from Kevin. What sort of industries do you work with? To be honest, it's a great question. I mean, I think over the 5 years or so we've been in business, we've probably worked with about 60 different industries, maybe anything from agriculture to industrial through to retail, and all sorts of shapes and size businesses as well, from a local one-man band through to multinational, international companies. But I think over the last few years we've probably serviced closer to maybe 30 or so industries, and it is the core sort of obvious day-to-day small to medium-sized businesses, with some enterprise level ones in there as well, but really all shapes and sizes. And I think the beauty of digital marketing is, if you know the blueprint and you know the format and for what works, I always say to people, SEO and digital marketing is not rocket science, it's just process. And if you know that process, which hopefully we can help with, you'll be successful. So regardless of the industry, that can work. There's another one on here from Kirsty. How often should you post on Google My Business? To be honest, it comes down to how much relevant information you have to share. I think it's good to blog a couple of times a month. I think if you've got something interesting happening in the business, then absolutely share on Google My Business at least once a month. If you're more active and you've got loads going on, we're down at an expo this week, so an exhibition, we've got a big stand there, so we're posting all about that, but it ramps up. Sometimes we might go quiet for a couple of weeks, but it's all about using it to your advantage as and when you have something to share. There's one here about where do you edit URLs, from Karen. Karen, I guess it depends on the software you're using. Could you just let me know what tool you're using? And what CMS? Is it WordPress? Is it? Okay, cool. It is WordPress. Okay, brilliant. So all you would do is you would log into the admin, so /WP admin normally. When you get in there, on the left-hand side, you have your pages. As you click into those pages, there becomes an editor option. And within there, you'll get sort of a function where you can just click the URL directly and you can edit it. What I can do after this call is just follow up with you on email with a little video or a little sort of how-to on how to do that. So I'll make sure I write a note of that and get that over to you, okay? So that's all the questions we've had through, which is really cool, and thank you for sharing those. To give you a bit of sort of structure to these webinars, this is the first one we've done in a while. We're going to do one in a couple of weeks' time now on pay-per-click, and then digital PR, and really sort of ramp it up. We're going to start a series of podcasts as well. So if anybody has any suggestions or ideas around topics they'd like us to cover, I'll certainly jump on and do some of them, and we can get some of the other experts in the business doing them as well, so we can really start to knowledge share and hopefully increase everybody's knowledge going forward. So thanks again for joining, and looking forward to seeing you at the next one. Thanks.